Hello, everyone. What is going on? My name is Tanner from AimToEntertain, and today I am here with the person.
Evan, the Evan person? Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Who is not from Maine to Entertain, but he's here anyway.
Yeah, and we're here to talk about this little movie that just released called Suicide Squad.
Yeah, it's kind of tiny little indie movie.
Yeah,
Not that many
I.
people are gonna go out to see it, probably.
Mm-hmm. It'll probably make about $20 opening weekend. So.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
ours included.
Yeah. So only one more
So,
person has to see it, and then it makes that
mm-hmm.
probably.
Well, I did $30 for two tickets,
Yeah.
so
So did I.
so that was pretty expensive. But nonetheless, we're here to talk about some of the good, some of the bad, and give our score of the movie. So I guess we should start off with some of the things that we enjoyed, and I guess since you liked it the most, you should start off with you.
All right. Well, are we talking spoilers here or no?
We're gonna talk spoilers at the end, so you don't have to run away
All
just
right.
yet.
Well, as far as good goes, I think all the characters were pretty solid. As far as the team itself goes, the Suicide Squad itself. Of course, it's comprised of Harley Quinn, Deadshot, Rick Flag, Diablo, Killer Croc, Captain Boomerang, Katana. Am I missing anyone? I'm definitely
And the
missing.
Lord and Savior Slipknot.
Oh yeah, that guy. Um,
Yeah.
and I think that's the majority of the team. I don't remember anybody else, but all the characters I thought worked out really well. And of course, the main two were Harley and Deadshot, followed by probably I'd say Diablo and Rick Flag. And
Yeah, I would say that those are the ones that got the most development
mhm,
because Boomerang and
yeah,
Slipknot are kind of just there.
yeah. There's a lot of great scenes with Deadshot and Batman that are pretty cool. Well, I say a lot of great scenes. There's only one great scene with the two, but um, I thought Deadshot was developed really well as a character, and same with Diablo. You get to know him a little bit more, and I think walking out, a lot of people are going to be impressed by him, like we were. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
That's
I mean, we didn't really know a lot of these characters. Really, Deadshot and
right.
Harley are the main ones that we knew about. I mean, Captain Boomerang a little bit, but Diablo out of all of them probably got who wasn't the most well known, probably got the most development,
Mhm.
which was cool
I also really
because
liked Rick Flag. I thought Rick Flag was a pretty cool character. That going into the movie, I didn't think I would care much about him. I thought he'd be one of my least
right,
favorites, and I actually really enjoyed him and like uh, his character arc, his story throughout the movie. I thought it was pretty cool.
right,
And we
yeah,
can't go into that without discussing spoilers. But I thought he was handled pretty well, and really just the characters and their relationships I thought were pretty cool. Some of the best ones from there were Harley and Deadshot. Had a lot of cool moments where they played off of each other, and I thought those worked really well. Harley and the Joker, of course. The Joker's in it for a little bit, and I thought what we saw from that worked out well. We'll have to get a little bit more of it to fully understand and see uh, what they plan on doing with this in the future, or how they play with it in the future, I guess. Uh,
yeah.
Another one I thought was kind of cool was Rick Flag and Deadshot. I thought that was another cool dynamic between those two characters because they are so different, but they have a lot in common as well. And I
hmm
think they kind of find a friendship throughout the movie, which is pretty interesting. So, uh,
Yeah, no, I do think the characters are definitely the highlight of the movie
mm,
because pretty much one of my favorite scenes is the bar scene when it's just them
yeah,
talking. And if it was just a movie of them talking for like 2 hours, probably would have liked it a little bit more than I actually did. But yeah, I thought the characters were great. Even Amanda Waller, who isn't
oh
even a
yeah,
part of the squad itself, is probably one of the best characters in the movie. It's pretty cool character. And yeah, I mean, I would like to see a movie with these characters again because the characters themselves were the best part. Just the movie that they were in was kind of lacking
mm-hmm.
in a lot of departments. So yeah, all the cameos in the movie. You mentioned Batman, which you've seen in the trailers. He isn't in it much. There's another cameo in there that's pretty cool. That's been out there, but I don't know if it's a spoiler to whoever might watch this. But the cameos are cool. The introductions, like the first 20 minutes of the movie, I thought were really good. How they introduced the characters, even though I thought it dragged on for a little bit. Like having each profile of the characters that gave a cool opportunity to do some callbacks to the original comics and cartoons where some of the characters debuted and like who apprehends who, kind of how it is in the comics, and just some pretty cool fan service stuff that's in there. And then after that, it kind of just falls downhill for me.
Yep. So I think that's pretty much it for the good then. In that case, So
Yeah,
then
because
we'll move into that.
basically it really just depends on how you perceive. Because one of the highlights is definitely how much fun this movie
Yeah.
is. But depending, we might have like the same list as good and positives, but it might affect us differently.
Mhm.
So going into the negatives, I guess, as I said, the rest of the movie, I can start from the beginning to the end. So, like I said, the introductions were cool, like the first 20 minutes. It starts off a little weird because it starts off kind of in that prison area, and then it focuses on two characters, and then it kind of restarts and then introduces us to them again,
Yeah.
which was a weird kind of decision to start the movie. It would have just been fine to start off with all the introductions instead of what they did.
Mhm.
But the introductions were cool, and I just thought it dragged on a little bit too long. Like they were showing us each of the characters, and it wasn't even all the characters, and I still felt it dragged on a bit. So once that finished, because I really wanted them to start getting into the mission, and then the mission kind of sucked too. So that was kind of my feel how the movie. I wanted them to get to the mission, and then the mission sucked. So you can imagine how that kind of affected my viewing of it.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about the first kind of 20 minutes of
Uh,
the movie or so.
I like the character introductions after they jump through Deadshot and Harley. Um, those two, the first part where they introduce Harley and Deadshot, throw me off. I didn't care much for those, so that kind of made me a little bit nervous for the rest of the movie, uh, because I really wanted to go in liking it. And that I saw it and I was like, is this what the rest of the movie is going to be? And thankfully, it kind of moved away from that because I think in that area had a bunch of weird, funky editing, and I wasn't liking that section. So I'm glad they got away from that. And then
Mm,
some of the editing throughout the rest of the movie kind of threw me off. Like there's a part, I don't want to spoil anything, but Harley goes up in an elevator and all the other guys are on the ground. And so as she goes up, things happen, and she gets out on the floor that they're going to, and everybody else is already up there. Like they beat her up there, even though she was in the elevator going up. So I don't know how that works, but
right.
I feel like that's probably because there's a deleted scene somewhere that explains how they get up there, or just part of the story that they didn't really flesh out. So
Right. So, yeah, I guess the editing choices, like some of the flashbacks were edited a bit
yeah.
weird. Like as you see in the trailer, there's a scene with Batman chasing the Joker. I thought that was like I feel like some of that was missing, and then just some jump cuttiness of like the Joker scenes in the beginning with Harley was just a bit
Mhm.
weird. I don't know if it was intentional because it's like supposed to be crazy and weird, but it was just felt more choppy than it did
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
weird. So after that, they start the mission, and the reason for them, to start the mission, I thought was a bit sloppily handled. So not only is their mission, the reason they're on this mission a bit odd, the mission itself is like I can basically summarize it as walking, fighting, boring, more walking, big fight, end.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I saw the entire like mission half, and I was like waiting for them to get to the mission because I thought maybe this is where it was gonna kick up
Mhm.
and start being like really good, and then it kind of didn't, and then I was kind of just felt like, oh, okay, that was okay. But yeah, that's pretty much my really concise thoughts on like the rest of the movie because it really is kind of split into two halves. Like instead of three acts, it's kind of like the beginning and then the end. It's really like it isn't structured,
Yeah.
you know, 100% correctly to me. Like to me, you should have like a beginning, middle, and end, and it kind of has like an overlong beginning and then a really overlong end.
Mhm.
And like once the middle point happens, it kind of just starts going a bit like the entire movie is still kind of like that same feeling, but at least the beginning had those cool moments with the cameos and the backstory. And then once that started to rush, like drag along, you want to rush to the end, and then you get the rest of the movie, and it still doesn't really hit on those points as well as you'd like it to.
Yeah. I won't say that I'll go as far as to say that I thought the story was bad. It's one of those things I'm kind of mixed on. I've changed my tune since yesterday a little bit, but yesterday I thought it was fine. Thinking more about it, uh, I'm more mixed on it now. I can see how you would get bored with it and how it wouldn't be as interesting, but I personally had a lot of fun with it, so that's kind of why I keep it a little bit more mixed. And along with that, in the little mixed category I have is the villain. I thought it could have been handled better. I thought it was an interesting choice of a villain. Um, I mean, they kept it hidden pretty well, so that's pretty interesting. But uh, yeah, it just wasn't handled the best of way. I thought they could have explained the motivations a little bit more. While I understood parts of it, there was more reasoning behind it that should have been there, and I didn't feel that. We talked about that yesterday, but other than that, I think that's mainly it for me as far as my bad and mixed feelings go. Joker is one thing that we haven't talked about, and
Right.
the reason we haven't talked about him much is because he wasn't in the movie much. You know, there's a few scenes with him here and there, and from what I saw personally, I liked. We haven't gotten a wide variety of him though, so we can't really make a good judgment. Similar to the Spider-Man situation in Civil War.
Right. Right. I mean, for me with the Joker, I think he is in. I think he's in it less than Spider-Man. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure he is. Because then you have with Civil War, you had the Peter Parker scenes and Spider-Man,
Mm-hmm.
which made up for a lot of time. For this, you just have Joker, and it's not really too much. I think maybe like 7 minutes, whereas like Spider-Man maybe had like 13 or 14 minutes in total. So it's like if you're going into this anticipating the Joker, you're probably not going to be too happy. But I wasn't like 100% sold on him. I mean, I like the whole gangster approach to
Yeah.
him, but it's just I thought his voice was a little weird. I mean, he didn't have enough dialogue, I guess, for me to really feel what they were going for. I mean, I never the look never bothered me, so I'm never like against the look. It's just what he as he talked and stuff. There, like the scene and there's a scene near the beginning when they're introducing the characters where he's at this club or whatever, and I thought it was like a little weird, like
Mm-hmm.
not too cartoony because he's kind of a cartoony character, but kind of felt like a different movie. Like even Harley seemed more normal compared to him, which I guess kind of is on purpose. I'm not sure, but he isn't in it enough to make it like to put whether he's good or bad. He's just kind of there.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's fine. Like for me, the motivations were the reason for being in the squad, they didn't really have a choice. And then like the reasoning to build the squad makes sense to me. It's just there's a few choices by the characters throughout the movie that I didn't really like. Like their motivations, like to not just straight up go. I mean, they didn't really have a choice either way, but to kind of do it chugging along and not leave at the first chance to get, it made sense. Like all the characters'
Mm-hmm.
motivations for what they do, like Diablo, particularly, we won't get into spoilers, but that was a strong
Yeah.
character, I thought, motivation wise. And I guess if since we're like kind of going into the negatives already, more in depth, I don't think there's anything else we can go to without spoiling it.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna give our scores here, and then we're gonna talk spoilers. So my final score is 4 out of 10.
Yep. We talked about this yesterday, and I'm gonna go with the 7.5. I might drop that a little bit later, or I might higher it. I want to go see the movie again. You've seen it twice. I've only seen it
Yeah, I've seen it
once.
twice. And I will say before we kind of wrap up non-spoilers here, seeing it the second time was definitely a lot more fun.
Mm.
I mean, my issues are still there, so I did have like a problems with a lot of it, but knowing how bad they were going into it the second time, I could definitely like kind of just relax and just watch it for what it was, which it was definitely more fun, but those issues are still there.
Yeah, and I think that's why mine is higher than yours because you're basing yours more off of your first experience in the theater watching it, and I'm going. I didn't see it until after you did. You saw it a few days early, so I already knew of the issues, the big problems that people were having, and so I was
Right.
expecting those. Also, after Batman versus Superman, I dropped my expectations for a little while because, like we mentioned yesterday, they were in production at the same time. There's not a whole lot you can do to change a movie, and then when you hear the complaints about something else, it there's no way to fix that. So uh, I thought that with what they had, it was a fun time. It was that's really what it comes down to is how much fun you have in the movie. While it's not a great movie, and I recognize that, I can see the issues with it. I had fun with it, unlike in movies such as Batman versus Superman, where you're sitting there for an hour and a half, with not a whole lot going on besides a bunch of dialogue. So to me, the characters and just being pulled in and invested in those characters and what they were doing and seeing the cool action scenes that they had here and there really pulled me in, and that's why I decided to enjoy it a little bit more. That's why I enjoyed it, not why I decided to enjoy it, but you know.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, well, we're gonna get into spoilers in like 3 seconds, so if you haven't seen Suicide Squad yet, you should definitely check it out. Even though I didn't give it such a favorable score, I still recommend seeing it because it is such a mixed reception at this point. You know, you might like it or you might not like it. It's really just you have to go see the movie. It's one of those movies where reviews are there, but it's kind of mixed. So go see it. If you enjoy it, it's great. If you didn't, I'm still alive. So hey, go enjoy that movie. So now that we're in spoilers, I guess we can talk about some of the good things that we thought about the movie in depth. And I guess Like, what is that? I think my Xbox had a heart attack.
Nice job, Xbox.
Well, at least it cut in the transition, so that was good.
Yeah.
That was pretty beneficial. Okay, now Batman needs an update. That's so weird. It just okay. Well, I'm ready to start again when you are.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, so we were talking about spoilers now. All right.
Yes.
So I guess some of the good things that were more spoilery in the movie, like we mentioned earlier, that the beginning 20 minutes were definitely a lot of fan service. You got a cameo from the Flash, apprehending Boomerang, which is great. You got some Batman in there when he was talking to Deadshot, and then the scene, the full scene with Batman and Harley Quinn and the Joker. Batman doesn't talk to any of them really,
Right.
which is kind of a shame because you don't have like that conversation between Batman and Joker, that this new Batman, this new Joker, which would have been cool. But I thought those were handled pretty well. Um, there was a moment that had Joker and Harley in the like Harley specifically in her like traditional jester outfit, which made me like lose my mind,
Yeah, that was awesome.
which is pretty.
That
That was
was
so awesome, and I was like, this movie was gonna be great. This is the Joker and the Harley and the fan service, and it was great because I just got like Flash 10 seconds earlier or 10 seconds after, whatever, and I was like losing my mind because of all the fan service, and it was great, but it kind of wore off eventually. And she does have the suit again, like she does take it out of like a trunk or
yeah.
something. But yeah, that's pretty much it. The spoilery good things that I liked. Is there anything else spoilery that you liked?
Building off of what you just said, she did pull that out of the chest, which made no sense to me, seeing as when she was apprehended, she did not have that on. So why would they have it in a box of stuff for her? Unless she
I
had left
mean,
it there in the past. But I don't know why she would have been there in the past. They probably would have just had her in Arkham.
I
Which
mean,
is cool also,
maybe
we
the
got to see Arkham for the first time, which was pretty neat.
Yeah, we did in the scenes when they introduced Harley and the Joker. We get that famous scene in the cartoons where she's sitting on one end of a table and he's on the other end, and they're like talking. They didn't do the same lines, which would have been cool, which I thought could have been probably better.
Mm-hmm.
But we do get her origin and the chemical thing, which I thought the dialogue there was actually pretty
Yeah.
cool. Like, will you die for me? And then he's like, that's too easy. Will you live for me? I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then they jump in, and then that was pretty cool. So basically, a lot of flashbacks are my main spoilery positives, because other than like the ending, which would be the main thing you spoil, there's nothing really there that I enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we're done with the positive spoilers. So some of the negative spoilers, there's a few actually,
Yeah.
kind of.
Yep.
So it's pretty much have to do coincide with the ending. Um, the villain, like you mentioned earlier, without going into detail, is the Enchantress, which was kind of I don't know if it was stupid because if they never wanted to assemble a squad in the first place, that never would have happened.
This is true.
So, I mean, it's a complicated balance because on one hand, it's a really weird character. Like she's wailing her arms around and doing a bunch of crazy. Her voice was really weird, and that kind of took me out too. And then her brother, like that she releases, is like a weird CGI character who, before in the subway station when he was attacking, had super cool precision on everything he was hitting. But when it comes to the squad, he's like missing everyone. So that kind of bothered me still. But I mean, it's it's kind of a bad villain, but it's like a really bad villain. Like usually with Marvel movies, their villains are bad. Like this one isn't as bad as like maybe the one from Thor 2, because I don't even
Yeah, I
remember
don't know
the
who that
name.
was.
It was like some elf dude, but at least and this one didn't even give a name. Like they didn't give a name for the brother. Like we know Enchantress, and she was cool with like her transformation with like the black arm, and then flips around and she becomes Enchantress, which is cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean the final battle was. I mean, other than Diablo, who before like another good thing. I'm trying to pick and choose here. His story was pretty cool. Like that when they revealed what happened to him in the bar scene, that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if the whole family thing, because he does mention that he lost his one family and now the squad is his second family. I wouldn't go that far, but at least when he turned into a giant flame tiki man, that was pretty cool.
I'll
And
defend the family thing by saying he hasn't really talked or associated with people in a while. He's been locked up in there, and since he's murdered his fast family, he doesn't really have anybody to communicate to. Nobody really understands him. These people do. They get
well, they
what
didn't murder
happened.
their families
Right,
either.
right. But they understand the idea behind he couldn't control himself and he accidentally murdered both his wife and his kids. And so I think they're more sympathetic towards him, and he understands that. And they're all a bunch of bad guys. You know, he was also involved with crime prior to killing his family. So I think just the fact that they're all kind of these bad guys bring them together, and that's what really makes him feel like family. He feels like he's in a family environment with the people that he's around because they are all in such similar situations.
I mean, I guess, but I just think that, him saving his life or risking his life because he did end up dying. Spoiler here. He sacrificed himself for like the planet. He didn't really sacrifice himself for the squad. I mean, sure it goes hand in hand because if the planet goes, then
Right.
so do they. But him saying he does all that for his new family instead of like saving the world, I feel like him saving the world would have been more believable than him just saying saving it and then saying because of the squad. I just thought that was an interesting choice.
Yeah, but to me, like, he has nothing left in the world. He knows that he's going back to prison after this, so what's the point for him? You know, he's just gonna go sit and rot in a prison cell. What? Why would he save the world?
Well, he did anyway.
Right, right.
But now he's just saving it for them, who are also going to go back to prison.
This is true, but who knows? I don't know. It's
I
a
still
big
think the
weird
scene was pretty
situation.
cool when he turned into a giant
Yeah,
tiki. So I'll give it a slight
yeah.
pass. And then he ended up dying. And then here's when things get really bad. Like I thought the final Enchantress battle was so dumb. It was just like there's a bunch of people moving around and getting hit around, and then she stops, and then she takes away the weapons, which she could have done in the first place, but whatever. And then she has mercy on them, and then they try and do this switch and bait thing with Harley, which I was like, she's not gonna it's not gonna work. And then she kneels down, and like when I noticed something in the second viewing that she says for her to kneel, and I didn't hear that in the first one, so she was like just randomly going down. I'm like, why are you kneeling? And then she picks up the sword. I'm like, did she just kneel to get the sword? Because I feel like she would have noticed her grabbing the sword way quicker than if when she was just randomly kneeling down. But at least that didn't bother me the second time because I picked up on that she said to kneel down to her,
Yeah.
so that made more sense. But I felt like the final battle was kind of anticlimactic. And then the overuse of slow motion, I swear it felt like 10 minutes the first time I was watching that. How she throws the gun and then slow and then he catches it and then Croc. It takes like 5 minutes for him to like finally throw the thing, the detonator, and then he shoots and that takes like 5 minutes. And I thought the slow motion was like really annoying.
I actually was fine with it because, for me, I understood the struggle of him not wanting to shoot because, you know, with this whole daughter thing, he doesn't want to kill people. Her or his daughter doesn't want him to kill people. She wants him to find a way to stop them without killing them. And so I thought in that moment it was him deciding, okay, do I do this or do I not? And I was kind of conflicted at the same time. Like I felt the conflict that he was feeling, which is why I kind
No,
of
the
accepted it.
Deadshot thing is different because I was actually like the daughter thing wasn't even in slow motion. Just everything else around it was slow motion too. Like Harley throwing the gun, and then Croc throwing the thing, and then the bullet that finally hits the thing. And it was like that just took way longer than it needed to be. Like this thing could have been under 2 hours if the slow motion didn't take so long.
It didn't take that long. Calm yourself over there.
It's 2 hours and 3 minutes.
I was talking about the slow motion, not
Yeah,
the
I know.
yeah.
It
It's
could
actually
have
two
it
hours
could
and
have been
ten
under
minutes, isn't it? That's what the
the credits,
yeah.
but it's 2 hours and 3 minutes like the actual movie.
Yeah, nobody cares about that.
So if they would have just trimmed down some of that slow motion, and then I guess going away from the final part because we all already
One more
kind of,
thing on that though, I was really sitting there expecting the Joker to show up the entire time, and like
I mean,
put
he
a
did.
final blow in
Oh no,
Enchantress or
that's not
something.
Joker at
Yeah,
all.
I know. But for some reason I just thought this is where he's gonna come back because we all knew he wasn't dead. So it was just
Right, he
like,
was supposed to have a fight scene with the squad after he crashed.
was he?
Yeah,
Well,
that's where that scene in the trailer where like half his face is burnt and he has a grenade.
nope.
When he's like bye bye and then he like backs up and he throws the grenade.
I can't say I remember this.
You need to watch the trailer because there's a scene there and then he fights the squad apparently. A lot of Joker stuff cut, which sucks.
Yeah.
I guess that's like a negative, but I don't know what the scenes
I
are,
will
so I don't know if
say,
they're
in the defense of the movie, I forgot to touch on this earlier. If it's true that it was written in only 6 weeks, that kind of does suck. But
I
I
mean, he
think it was
wrote
fine with what they had in 6 weeks.
one of the other movies that Ayer wrote was in like that short amount of time too, and it was actually pretty well received.
Yeah, but that's also his own original vision that he doesn't have to intertwine with a bunch of other studio executives and stuff.
Well, we don't know about that. It could have been Warner Brothers too.
This is true.
But yeah. So I thought throughout the rest of the movie, like some of the action was kind of boring. I didn't want to put this in like regular because some of the action pertains to like the googly-eyed monsters, which is part of the end kind of thing, like the villain. So Enchantress makes this kind of gooey, like googly-eyed villain things, and like there's this one scene that they're fighting them, and it's kind of really boring and dull,
Mhm.
and it pretty much goes for every action scene in the movie actually. But at least Deadshot had a cool moment in it. But that's about the only good thing I can come from that.
Yeah,
Kind of boring
sure.
overall with the action there. Like there wasn't like one action scene that was like cool, except for maybe Will Smith's like super shootout range thing.
Mhm.
But other than that, it was kind of just meh. I'm sure you don't agree, but
No, I mean, I thought it was enjoyable, but it's all a matter of opinion, I guess.
mm. So I guess that pretty much does it for spoilers. I guess there's one more thing, like when the Joker like finally like hijacks that plane or whatever,
Yeah,
and he's coming to rescue Harley, and then Harley kind of jumps on that wire, and then Deadshot like um kind of is gets a contract from Waller to like take her down or whatever. I know you argued this with me, like I don't know if it was yesterday, whatever. But even if Deadshot, like he didn't take the shot, he missed,
right.
and like that was an opportunity for him to get free and save his daughter, not save his daughter, be with his daughter, and he didn't take it. I know he doesn't kill women or whatever, but sure, why not? But then you literally have a bunch of other supervillains at your disposal that you didn't use. Like Boomerang could have just thrown a boomerang and cut the thing. Why didn't Waller
I don't
tell
know if a
Boomerang to
boomerang
do it?
cut a rope.
If a boomerang can work as like a video camera surveillance thing
Yeah, but
and can explode, he had an explosive one too.
sure,
I'm pretty sure he could have had a super sharp boomerang.
maybe. But who says he did? Maybe he already used them all,
Oh yeah. Yeah,
or
what
maybe he
goes
just
around
pulled
comes
them
around.
out like a beer out of his pocket. You know, infinite beers.
Exactly. Just throw the pink unicorn at it. That'll destroy it.
Totally. I thought that
But
was
that was
funny,
kind
but
of
it really paid no fan. Like it had nothing to do with the story, which was kind of unfortunate.
that's got to be a reshoot thing. Like definitely. Like there's no doubt in my mind that that was. I mean, it was funny when he dropped it and he went to go pick it back up.
Yeah,
And
I
his
did laugh.
pinky.
Yes.
That was pretty funny. But yeah, that scene when Harley escapes and just there's multiple different ways that she could have got out of like shot down from there.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever. That's just it's kind of a really sloppy story.
Yeah, I guess. Going back to the beginning when they were first introducing the characters, I really liked Will Smith's or not Will Smith, but Deadshot's introduction. It's
With the
like,
mask and the bullet training.
well, it when it pops up and it says like all the things that he's skilled with, and it just is a long list of all
Oh,
this different these different guns and stuff.
all
That
these
was pretty
guns.
funny.
And then wife and then ex-wife. That was also
Yeah.
pretty funny. But yeah, no, I guess that about wraps it up the spoilers too. We talked about really in detail about all the things that we liked and didn't like. So again, my score is 4 to 10. His was 7.5 out of 10. He said it might go lower. I don't think mine will go any lower because mine's already pretty low. But yeah, I guess you can plug all your stuff
All right. Well,
since you're done.
you can go check out the Facebook and Twitter pages. Those are in the description down below, as well as the link to the website, which you should go check out because we're going to have some Suicide Squad reviews over there that may or may not touch on different things we didn't touch on in this video. So, yeah, go do that, and that's about it. We'll see you later.
Woo!
Ha ha
Stop.
ha ha.
Please stop.
You,
He has to do like the crying thing he does at the end.
ah, you don't own me.
That was that was actually pretty close. I'm not gonna lie.